Here are the video solutions for NCFE Level 2 Functional Skills Maths. This is Section A, which is the non-calculator test from one of the past papers on their website. Right, so let's go straight in there to question 1A. So 3/5 of the shops sell clothes, 1/8 sell electronic. So let's work out what are the fraction that sell clothes and electronic goods. That is going to be 3/5 plus 1/8. And to do this, what I'm going to do is the cross multiplication technique. So 3 times 8, 8, 16, 24, plus 5 times 1, which is 5, all over 5 times 8, which is 40. So that is 29/40. So these two account for 29/40. So the rest is food. So that is going to be 11/40. Part B, so first of all what I'm going to do is work out the area of this shape. So I'm going to turn it into a square and a trapezium. So 7 times 8, that is 56 square meters. Now this is a trapezium. They've not given you the formula, but the formula for the area of a trapezium is half of A plus B times by H. Now A and B are the parallel sides, so these are the parallel sides here, so that is a half of 7 plus 2 multiplied by the height, which is this distance here, and that's going to be 12 take away 8, which is times 4. 7 plus 2 is 9, so that is 9 times by 4 divided by 2, and that is 18. So that is 18 square meters. So overall it's 74 square meters. So the area 74 meters squared. All these workings should be in this box as well. I just didn't want to be scrolling up and down the whole time. So what I need to do now is work out the median of these values here. Now the median is the middle value when they are put in order. So if I put them in order, in ascending order, I get 40.7, 49.8, 51.1, 59.4, 67.6, 68.9, 71.2, 82.3, and finally 90.2. Now to locate the one in the middle, I'm going to chop one off each end. I'm going to keep going until I expose 1 or possibly 2 in the middle. Here it's 1 in the middle because I've got an odd number of values. So the median is 67.6 square meters. Okay, so Jesse thinks that 74 is 12% more than 67.6. So what is 12% more than 67.6? So we need to increase this amount by 12%. So 67.6 multiplied by 1.12 is our calculation. Now for 12%, the basic multiplier for 12% is 0.12. It's the decimal version of 12%. It's this number here divided by 100. But when you want to increase by 12%, we add 1 to that multiplier, so it's 1.12. That's where this comes from. 67.6 times by 1.12 is 75.712 square meters. So Jesse is wrong because 74 is less than 75.712. Okay, so this question is relatively straightforward. So it's this price per square metre. She's got 40 square metres, so it's going to be £27.59 times by 40, and that's for 12 months, so multiply that by 12, and we get 1324320. No catches in that one, relatively straightforward. Okay, let's take a look at part D then. Another one that's relatively straightforward, we're just using this formula. So we need to remember that 0.015t means 0.015 multiplied by t, so that's 0.015, and t is the total sales, so times 38,000, and that's going to be divided by n, which is the number of workers, and working that out, that comes to a total of £190. And for E, so what we need to do is we want to work out the mean of this week. So the total is going to be all those added together, and that comes to 162.4 thousand. So the mean is going to be 162.4 divided by 7, which is 23.2 thousand versus 21,000. So we can say here the mean number of shoppers has increased. Okay, so previously the range was 19.5. Let's work out the range here. So the range is the difference between the biggest and the smallest. The biggest is the 39.6. The smallest is, I believe, 12.5. So that is a range of 27.1 thousand. What was the range before that? It was 19.5. So the range has increased. And with range, we need to be thinking about consistency. The greater the range, the less consistent the data. So if the range in the number of shoppers has increased, that means so the daily number of shoppers, is less consistent. So always relate range to consistency. The bigger the range, the less consistent. The smaller the range, the more consistent. And that is the end of section A. Here are the video solutions for NCFE Level 2 Functional Skills Maths. This is section B, which is the calculator test, and this is from one of their online past papers. So let's take a look at the first question, question number 2. So Cameron wants to reduce the amount of water he uses at home. So there's a shortcut we can do here, which is, first of all, well, what is the difference in the flow rate? So he's going to be using 4.7 litres per minute instead of 5.5. So 5.5 take away 4.7, that is 0.8. So that is the saving in terms of litres per minute. So he's going to have the tap running for 350 days per year for 20 minutes per day, and he's saving 0.8 litres per minute. So just multiply these together, and that comes to 5,600 litres. Can he save more than 600? No, he is wrong, because 5,600 is less than 6,000. An alternative way to do it, which is maybe easier to understand but takes a bit longer, is just to work out what does he, how many litres currently. So 350 times 20 times by 5.5 equals whatever that is, and then work out 350 times 20 times by 4.7 and work out the difference. You'll still get the same answer. Here I've just worked out the difference in terms of flow rate and multiplied that by the 350 and by the 20. Hope that makes sense. For B, so what we need to do here is work out the volume of this prism. Now we're talking about litres here. So what we've got, this isn't immediately obvious really. If I'm working out the capacity using these dimensions here, millimetres, then I'm going to have a capacity in cubic millimetres, and then I've got the problem of turning that into litres. Now the key thing to understand here is that 1 cubic centimetre is 1 millilitre. So if I can get the volume in cubic centimetres, I can turn it easily into millilitres and then into litres. So what this means is I need to turn these into centimetres. So that is 60 centimetres, this is 80 centimetres, this is 180, and this is 70. Okay, so remember that there are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. So let's use the formula. So it's 0.5h means 0.5 multiplied by h, and the height is 60, multiplied by a plus b, which is 70 plus 80, and 70 plus 80 is 150. I'll just write 70 plus 80 for now, and that's going to be multiplied by its depth, which is 180. So the calculation is now 0.5 times 60 times by 150 times by 180, and that comes to 810,000, and that is cubic centimetres. So what that means is that is 810,000 millilitres. So I can turn this into litres by dividing by 1,000. So 810,000 divided by 1,000, that is 810 litres. There was some Okay, so he normally fills it to 78%, but this time he's only filling it to 72%. So that is a difference of 6%. So what is the final calculation is what is 6% of 810? Well, the calculation is 0.06 times by 810. 0.06, that is the percentage multiplier for 6%. That is the decimal equivalent of 6%. It's 6 divided by 100. And 0.06 times by 810 is 48.6 litres. So, does he save more than 40 litres of water? Yes, because 48.6 litres is greater than 40 litres. There we go. A lot of those all the working should have gone in the box. I just kept them up here so that I wouldn't have to be scrolling up and down the whole time. Okay, so for this question here, so the key thing is that he's filling up a 3-gallon bucket 6 times, so therefore 3 times 6 is 18, so that is 18 gallons of water that he uses. We know that 1 gallon is 4.55 litres, so therefore 18 gallons is going to be 4.55 multiplied by 18, 4.55 times 18 comes to 81.9 litres. Okay, so he has saved some water there, of course. He normally it's 120. He's now using 81.9. So what is the difference? So 120 take away 81.9. So that is 38.1 litres. And it's what percentage of 120 does Cameron save? So what is this as a percentage of 120? Well, what is it as a fraction of 120? It's 38.1 out of 120. And to turn a fraction into a percentage, it's top divided by bottom multiplied by 100, and that gives us exactly 31.75%. Okay, question 2D. This one's quite challenging. So we're talking about a 23% reduction. So think of it this way. If you're buying a pair of shoes that are 10% off, you're paying 90%. If you're buying a pair of shoes that are 23% off, then you would be paying 100% minus 23%, which is 77%. So something is being multiplied. So I'll just write this down. Literally something. We're working out 77% of something. Now, to work out 77% of something, you would multiply it by 0.77. And that is giving us this value of 118. So 0.77, that's the percentage multiplier for 77%. So this is the calculation if we're reducing something by 23%. So what we're doing here, this is called reverse percentages, quite tricky. So in order to work out the something is going to be 118 divided by 0.77. And 118 divided by 0.77 comes to, and here the something is the quarterly price last year, and that comes to 153.24675, and we want one decimal place, so we're only interested in the second decimal place. It's less than 5, so that will round down to 153.2 cubic meters. Okay, for 2E, we want an estimate of the mean. Okay, the reason why it's an estimate is because we've got 87 days where we don't know how much water leaked. We just know it's between 0 and 200. So what we're going to do is assume it's the midpoint, so MP column, midpoint column, that is 100. Now, if on these 87 days there was an estimated leakage of 100 million litres, then what that means is in total, so we can call this a total column, or sometimes it's the frequency times the midpoint column. Often this is referred to as F, the frequency, but here it's been labelled number of days. So what this means is on 87 days, if we're estimating that every day 100 million litres were leaked, then that is a total of 8,700 million litres. So let's work out the midpoints of these. So that is 300, 500 and 700, nice and easy, and let's multiply across. 105 times by 300 is 31500. 153 times 500 is 76500, and 20 times 700 is 14,000. Now, if I want to work out the estimate, or if I was working out the mean, it would be the total amount of water leaked divided by the number of days, which is 65. So the total, it's not the actual total, it's an estimated total. I'm just adding up these subtotals. And if I add these together, that comes to 130700. So there's my calculation, 130700 divided by 365, and that comes to 358.0821918, and we want the nearest whole number, so we're interested in the first decimal place. So everything beyond that we can completely ignore. It's a 0, so that will round down to 358 millions of litres. Okay, so question number 3. All we need to do is write this number in words. Now, the easy thing about writing numbers is if you're writing from right to left, put them into groups of 3. So here's a number, 68527315622. Okay, 1, 2, 3, put a comma, 1, 2, 3, put a comma, 1, 2, 3, put a comma. Now every comma you say a word. The first comma, if you're going from right to left, is for thousand. This comma is for million, this is for billion. So as long as you can read a 3-digit number and remember to say billion, million, thousand, it's easy. So this is 685 billion, 273,156,242. So we just need to remember that for the words million, thousand, we're going to put a comma. So 4 million means 4, comma. We can write 908, 908, comma for thousand, and we can write 630. There we go. And if you don't like the commas, you can now rewrite it and take the commas out if you prefer. But the commas are very, very helpful. Okay, so for part B, so we've been shown a scale drawing of the festival area. The scale is 1 to 20,000, so that means in reality everything is 20,000 times bigger. So let's work out the perimeter in terms of centimetres. So we've got 4.5 plus 7 plus 7, and we've got this part here. Now this is a semicircle, so what we have is half a circumference of a circle. The formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So if we want half of that, then that's just going to be 1 pi r, or pi times the radius, or pi times the radius. Now here the diameter is 6, so the radius is going to be half of that, which is 3. So plus 3 times by pi. And we've been told for pi to use, I think it was 3.14, so won't bother writing pi, I'll write 3.14. Okay, your calculator should be able to handle the bid mass, and it will do the multiplication first, but if you're not sure, work out 3 times 3.14 and then add on the 4.5, the 7 and the 7. And that comes to 27.92 centimetres. Now I'm going to multiply that one by 20,000 to turn it into real life measurements. So 20,000 multiplied by 27.92, that comes to 558,400. Now be careful, this is still centimetres. Now given that the fencing comes in lengths in metres, and we've been told that the gates are 65 metres, I'm going to turn this into metres. So divide by 100, 558,400 centimetres is 5584 metres. Now I'm going to subtract the 65 for the gates. So 5584 metres, take away the 65 metres for the gates, that comes to 5519 metres. So we need fencing for 5519 metres, and it comes in rolls of 50 metres. So how many 50s go into 5519? Well, the question is therefore 5519 divided by 50, and that comes to 110.38. Now this is nearer 110 than 111, but 110 rolls of fencing are not going to quite be enough. We need precisely 110.38, but obviously you can't buy 0.38 of a roll, so we're going to have to round that up to 111 rolls. So there's our total, 111 rolls. All the working should have gone in the box. I've just kept it up here so that I didn't need to scroll up and down the entire time. Okay, so Pavel's using this formula. When you think of the formula, it's actually fairly straightforward. If base times height divided by 2, that's the formula for the area of a triangle, and it's multiplied by 4 because there are 4 of them. So here we're going to be doing 4 lots of the base, which is 40, times by the height, which is 30, divided by 2, and 4 times 40 times 30 divided by 2 comes to 2,400 square metres. Pavel thinks the total surface area is 1,200, so maybe he's divided that by 2 again or something. So, but Pavel is correct. Pavel is incorrect. Okay, so this part here, we know that each square on the grid is 20 metres, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And the car park is a rectangle, which is 120 by 100. Okay, so if each square is 20 metres, then how many 20s are in 100? That is 5. How many 20s in 120 is 6. So on the grid, this car park should be a rectangle 6 by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the 6 centimetre side, so I need to do a 5 centimetre side, so I can either go up or down. I will go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And the possible coordinates for the other 2 vertices, that is the corners, that is going across to 4 and up to 2. So that is 4, 2, and going across to 10, 2. Okay, as I say, there was another option which was if you extend the lines up 5, you would have probably got 4, 12 and 10, 12. They'll also be perfectly acceptable. Okay, so we know in this question that the area where they're putting their tents is 314 acres. So if 1 acre is 4046 square metres, then 314 acres is going to be 314 times 4046 square metres, and that comes to 1270444 square metres. Now, 1 tent requires 27 square metres, so how many 27 square metres go into this figure here? That is 1270444 divided by 27, and we get a fairly horrible answer, 47053 point something, and we can see that that is less than 50,000. So is he correct? No. 47053 is less than 50,000. The probability that a festival goer chosen at random has travelled by car is 14 over 25, so not by car is going to be 25 minus 14 25ths, which is 11 25ths. So that's the probability as a fraction, but we need to give the answer as a decimal. But now remember that in the line of a fraction means divide, so 11 divided by 25, this is how you convert a fraction into a decimal. It's the top divided by bottom, and that is 0.44.